Scammers aren't just targeting new breaches. They're dusting off data they stole years ago and using artificial intelligence to turn it into a new threat.
So in May and June of this year, we started to see something that we're calling previously compromised data. And what that means is the bad guys, because they have access to all these AI tools, is they're going back and looking at the data they've already stolen and repackaging it and saying, is there more I can get out of this?
James Lee, president of the Identity Theft Resource Center, says this previously compromised data is a growing threat to companies, especially when criminals use it to break into critical systems.
Now we are finding these massive databases without any kind of security in cloud environments.
One of the biggest finds recently, an unsecured cloud database holding 16 billion previously stolen logins and passwords, ready for criminals to use in ransomware attacks, fraud, and scams. And while this doesn't mean your risk is higher than when your data was first breached, the threat is still very real.
Don't reuse the same password, because that's what these people are counting on. They want to use those logins and passwords. So if we're reusing the same one every time, they're going to be able to attack us again and again and again.
Lee recommends changing your passwords regularly, turning on multi-factor authentication, and using the strongest security settings you can to keep hackers out.
Maybe they won't attack us at all. Maybe you're going to be a lucky person and you never have to worry about it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't prepare for that day.
With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Carice Jackman.
Thank you, Carice, and hopefully you can hear me now as we, again, continue to navigate the technical proficiency of this desk. We're going to move on to our next story now. Americans spend more than $100 billion, that's with a B, dollars a year on lottery tickets. I know lottery tickets have gotten some dollars from me as well. Just got confirmation that you guys can hear me this time around. Thank you for that, Austin. Again, Americans spend more than $100 billion a year on lottery tickets. We're going to go ahead and go to this next story now with Rachel DePompa. Rachel DePompa talks about other ways people can use that money instead of buying those lottery tickets there, and why the odds are far better in that situation.
50% of Americans play the lottery each year and spend about $103 billion in total. By comparison, another The Motley Fool study found only 21% of families directly hold stocks. And when it comes to winning the lottery, well, the Powerball odds are 1 in 292 million. David Meyer, a senior analyst at The Motley Fool, says to him, playing the lottery is essentially lighting money on fire.
I'm not anti-lottery in that perspective, but I did not realize that the magnitude was that high. If you just put that in a savings account or money market account today that generated 5% return, that's a huge amount of money. That'd be $5 billion of interest a year.
Meyer says if you swapped out a Powerball ticket and a scratch-off ticket each month, about $25, and put that in a low-cost fund instead, with an average market return of 10% after 10 years, you would have $5,121. After 30 years, that small monthly habit would grow to more than $56,000.
Having it taken out of your paycheck and putting into a simple vehicle, again, it could just be a money market fund, could be a bond fund, could be the S&P 500 index, whatever that thing is. If it's done for you, it makes the process easier.
Meyer says if your employer has a 401k plan, start there. He says, yes, it's fun to play the lottery and test your luck, but he says investing that money instead could lead to big returns. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
Thank you for that, Rachel. We'll hear from you again. As a matter of fact, we're going to hear from you again in just a second here. And again, can confirm, very fun to play the lottery, but when it's put into perspective like that of, you know, what's the better move, it's, I guess, kind of obvious when you think about it. Moving on now to a new trend that can help you save more money than you would think. Now, I've never heard of this trend before, but it's apparently a thing. I might have to ask my wife later on today. She's a little bit more hip in with it with these modern trends, but Rachel DePompa explains how No Spend September can free up cash and cut down debt in just 30 days.
The No Spend Challenge is where you take an entire month and try not to spend any extra money. You can spend on necessities only and cut out non-essential purchases for 30 days. Leslie Tane, a debt relief attorney with years of experience, says it's challenging to do, but this experience can be really rewarding.
Think about the benefits of not spending any extra money outside your regular budget for an entire month, giving you more money for the holiday season and helping you pay down debt that you might have had outstanding the following month.
You still buy your groceries and get gas for your car, pay the rent and electricity, gas and water bills, but you ban yourself from buying anything unnecessary for 1 month.
So you can leave your credit card at home. You can turn off your wallet so that you're not spending anything extra. You can budget yourself just for a little bit of cash so that you have money in case there's an emergency while you're out and about, but staying out of stores, staying offline, not looking at things on social media that tempt you to spend.
Tane also says just for 30 days, stop going out to restaurants with friends and other people who can motivate you to be spending money. That's the best way to stay perfect in your September No Spend Challenge. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
Thank you once again, Rachel. Now, again, another thing that kind of seems obvious when you think about it, but something that I might have to instill in my own household there. No Spend September. Interesting. We close this week's Watching Your Wallet segment with a topic that I tend to avoid: car payments. I tend to avoid thinking about it. I don't avoid making the car payments. Now, many Americans are feeling the strain of rising auto loan payments, with some paying as much as a month's rent for their cars. Consumer investigator Carice Jackman speaks with LendingTree about tips to avoid those high car payments.
For many Americans, owning a car is essential, but it's becoming more expensive. A new survey by LendingTree shows the growing impact of high auto loan payments, with a significant number of people with four-figure monthly payments.
A little less than 1 in 10 Americans with an auto loan are paying at least $1,000 a month, and about 40% of the people who are doing that are doing it as a result of a loan that they took out in 2024.
Matt Schultz, Chief Consumer Finance Analyst with LendingTree, says Gen X is hit hardest by this trend.
Gen X was the most likely to say that they had a $1,000 car payment, and to a degree that makes sense because Gen X is pretty much in their prime earning years, so they'd have a high enough income to potentially qualify for a high dollar loan.
LendingTree also found that high payments are most common in the South and West, while the Northeast and Midwest see the fewest $1,000+ auto loans. If you have a high car payment or live in a region where car prices are soaring, Schultz says know your credit score, have a clear idea of what you can afford, and compare loan offers before stepping into a dealership. And if possible, consider making a down payment.
With car prices as high as they are and interest rates as high as they are, even being able to shave a fraction of a point off of your interest rate on that auto loan can save you very, very real money.
With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Carice Jackman.
All right, thank you very much, Carice, and thank you very much for joining us on this week's edition of Watching Your Wallet. This is a first edition, I should say, rather than this week's edition. Again, this is something that the InvestigateTV team provides to us, and we're going to bring it out to you. It's very good, informative content there, and we're going to bring it to you right here on your Valley News Now network. Thank you for joining us again for this special edition of Valley News Now. I'm Devin Fry.